Welcome back. Well, today we are going to talk about cleaning little teeny tiny items. Items that are so small that our ordinary cleaning supplies are just not designed to cope. And so we're going to have to use some special cleaning supplies. So we will talk about that when we come back. Okay, well, first of all, let me say that I know I have switched the project video with the informational video. This is a project video. That means it should have aired yesterday because today's Monday and Sunday is project video day. But in fact, despite the fact that we've had some really great weather, I can't believe it's early February. It's so warm and mild out. We have not had a lot of sunshine. And I wanted a reasonable amount of light and sunshine to do the filming, and I got it today. So we are doing this one Monday, and we'll see about getting right back into our usual routine next week. Well, what started me off on this was this little bird. It's like a little teapot. It's small enough to be considered a miniature, but it is not so small that I would necessarily consider it a child's piece or a doll's piece. Just a very small lusterware teapot. It might even hold an entire cup of tea if you use small teacups. So I'm not sure what it was originally intended for, but I am treating it as a real piece that someone may wish to buy and in fact might want to put, I'm assuming this would hold about 3/4 of a cup of water and might want to make a cup of tea out of it. That means it's got to be clean. Certainly if it were just a decorative item that sat on a shelf, we're not going to go crazy if there's a little bit of dust inside. Well, some of us are not going to go crazy if there's a little bit of dust inside. And some of us will. But given the fact that I have no idea who will end up owning this or what use they would like to put it to, I need to make sure that it's clean, because I would just as soon not have somebody get sick, because this piece is probably a good 70 years old. So, imagine 70 years worth of debris and dust and germs and heaven only knows what. I wouldn't want to drink out of that. So when I started cleaning this, I realized that some things are a challenge, like that little spout here. So the first thing I started with was the largest of my cleaning tools. And that's this. It's seen better days. I should replace it. But notice that the sponge bits are held by this little plastic ring on the handle. And you can see that it's a little ring. I measured it, by the way, and it is 1 inch across, which means it fits in here just fine. So the sponge compresses really nicely, and that's actually a good thing, because then once you've got it in, it fluffs right on out and it gets into all of the little corners. So, okay, not bad. That's a start. But I've still got a spout. Now, that's where these little guys come in. These are bottle brushes. These are used specifically to clean the baby bottles you use to feed little feral animals. So if you are nursing a little kitten or a little rabbit, I have not recently nursed anything except kittens and rabbits, but I have used the little baby bottles for them. You get a tiny little bottle, and the nipples are just so small because, little kittens are considerably smaller than little humans, and you need special brushes. Usually when you buy those little animal feeding bottles, you get a brush or two with them. I tend to just buy sets of brushes like these because this one, I don't know if you can see, is getting rusty, and they do. These are not designed to last, so I go through them pretty regularly. You can also find little brushes like this in the scientific instrument sections because they're used for cleaning pipettes or for test tubes, small vials. So you can still get these. Now, when I was a kid, you could get these easily. You just go into the toy store, you go over to the little girls' dolls, baby bottles section, and because they were not only teaching us to be mommies to little dolls, they were teaching us to be housewives and domestic slaves, we were taught right away how to clean a baby bottle. That's kind of scary when you think about it. I was 8 years old. I knew how to clean a baby bottle. What kind of message were they sending me? Whoa. So we've got our little brush here. And this is just a little piece of lusterware that I had on the table, and I put some soapy water in it. My little brush. And it just goes right in. And of course I can, scrunch it around and make sure the entire area is nice and clean. I have an even smaller one. Now this one, the opening in this teapot is too small for that sponge brush, but not too small for this one. And by the way, when I buy my kitchen sponges and bottle brushes, I buy them with an eye toward cleaning something like this, because it doesn't matter if it's very small, if I'm using it to clean a milk bottle or something. But if it's too big to clean something like this, then I have to get another one. So I prefer to err on the side of small. This one is even tinier. It has a little bent wire. The wire is twisted and bent around the sponge, and I would say that's probably not even half an inch, although I did not measure it. But let's see. I know, because I haven't done this before, so I don't know if this is going to work. It is. All right, goody. We got it in there. The sponge is in there, and we can just clean it out. And of course we can use the little bottle brush to get in here and get this cleaned out too. It's not as effective on the smaller one. I'm going to have to bend it a little to get it through. But that brings us to my other favorite tiny cleaning device, Q-tips. And these are not actually Q-tips. These are generic cotton swabs. And it's just, boy, it's a very, very tight fit in there. But this side's fitting a little better. I can get this in and get it fairly well cleaned out. Now, I've got some other very small things you might not think of. Salt and pepper shakers. Now, these are about 1.5 inches high, and here's our little opening. This is tiny. Again, Q-tip is perfect for this. You get it in, and you can just, scrunch it around in here, get everything cleaned. It works like a sponge on a stick. And here, I was going to say, you'd be surprised how much dirt you can get out of an old salt and pepper shaker. Now, something like this, that will eventually be offered for sale, which means somebody's going to buy it. And I have no idea if they're going to use it or just stick it on a shelf. Now, if they're going to use it, I have no idea if they're going to clean it before they use it. I would just assume they not get sick from a salt and pepper shaker they bought from me, so I'm going to clean it first. And this is one of the reasons I strongly suggest whenever you are buying anything for resale, clean it as best you can. You know, not just dust it, but clean it. Throw it in a sink full of warm soapy water. Get it clean, because you never know if your buyer is accustomed to dealing with vintage and antique objects. Your buyer might be someone who has never bought anything old in their lives. They might have just bought whatever they wanted from a department store where they go in, they take it off the shelf, it's brand new, they take it out of the package, and they pour their coffee in it, and that's the end of it. They might not have needed to wash anything before. It might not even occur to them. Now, if they end up, having a funny taste from something that you've sold to them, if they end up with, clumps of gray dust in their lemonade, they're not going to be a happy customer. So remember, this is, in part, it's about you treating other people the way you want to be treated. It's nice when we can do it that way, but it's also good business sense too. You want your customers to be happy. You want them to come back. You want them to say, this is a seller who will sell me clean stuff, and I'm not going to get sick, and I'm not going to have to deal with those grubby little dust bunnies. That's simple. These are things that will make our lives easier in reselling. And always try to remember, and it is hard to remember, I know this, but always try to remember you have no idea who your customer is. And that's just something very bizarre to wrap your head around. My customer could be anybody. They could be someone from another country. They could be someone with whom I have nothing in common. And try to prepare your item for the broad range of conditions. In other words, something like this, you want to prepare it for someone who's never seen a vintage salt shaker, does not know there could be 70-year-old dust in it, and will just say, oh, I'm going to throw my salt in it right now, and is going to be unhappy when the salt comes out covered in dust bunnies. So do your best. And while we are on cleaning, I'm going to get my Q-tips out, because that's what you need to know. Oh, here, I've got a few others I should show you. I haven't had to use these recently. The pokey tool, the paper towel. By the way, this is Viva brand. I don't know those people. I don't get any money from those people. So this is sort of a non-sponsored endorsement. I use Viva paper towels because they hold up really well when you scrunch them up in little pieces like this, get them soaking wet, stick them on a pokey tool, and shove them inside something else. A lot of paper towels will completely disintegrate. Viva will actually come out, here we go, all in one piece, and I don't have to sit there poking and trying to get the paper towels out. See, there's my paper towel piece. That's why I like Viva, because they hang together. So this also, and we've talked about this before, this is an orange stick. You can get them at beauty supply shops. You can probably get them at craft stores too. They have an end that's pointy like a sharpened pencil, and an end that's sliced off at an angle. So when you look at it, the cutaway portion looks like a long oval, rather like a football. Fantastic. These things will get in anywhere. And this is wood. You can saturate wood with water, with nail polish remover, with whatever you want to use, and use it like a hard little brush, because the wood fibers will hold either your soapy water or your nail polish remover. It's very good. This is what I do when I repaint dolls, by the way. If I want to remove the paint from a doll, this is what I do. That tip in nail polish remover, and I take the paint off as if I were taking it off stroke by stroke with a very sharp pencil. And because it's wood, it's not metal, it won't damage the dolls. So that's another one of my cleaning tips. But while I was doing this, I realized there's another thing we can do. This is nail polish remover. I get 100% acetone nail polish remover. I get it at the dollar store. It therefore costs $1. This, those of you who watch me go off shopping with Jocelyn have surely noticed that these little salt and pepper and mustard pot caddies are my new favorite thing, mostly because they're turning up all over the place now, and they used to be very rare on the market. I grabbed this one in particular because I had already washed it, and it still looked a little dingy in places. Now, lusterware, that means it's been fired in a kiln, so I don't have to worry about taking the paint off of it. The paint is on for good. Oh, and by the way, the last time we spoke, and we spoke about kill, and I said it's pronounced kill. It is pronounced kill, by the way. There were people who wrote in and said, well, my ceramics teacher, blah, 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 and they said kill, or they said kiln. My ceramics teacher, it's my professor in college. I took a ceramics course. If you said kiln, she would give you a look like she really wanted to wring your neck, but she knew that the school authorities wouldn't allow her to do it. She'd come that close to whacking somebody in the head. She was very insistent. But dictionary says it's kill. However, language is always changing, so who knows? Maybe it will end up being kiln before long. Anyway, nail polish remover on a Q-tip. Just going over this. I don't know if you can see. Now this has been cleaned. It's not like I just, plucked this up out of the trash or dug it up off the floor or anything. This has been in a sink. Sometimes you'll see a piece and the dirt and grime will be so embedded into it that an ordinary cleaning just won't do, and you end up having to resort to harsher chemicals. It's perfectly safe if it has been fired on. You won't be taking the paint off, but I did want to show you that. This is a trick I go through with things like ceramic vases, when they've been fired and they have a glaze on them, because some things do not wash off easily. There we go. So look at that. And then you can see for yourself, this doesn't look especially dirty. So I thought I would quickly mention that because that's another one of my little cleaning tricks. So let me go back to language change for a minute. Kiln is not the one that bothers me. Eventually that pronunciation will probably change over. I notice people say often all the time. And in fact, the pronunciation was at one time, like 400 years ago, often. And then it changed and became often. And it's been that way for the last at least 200 years. And the T is supposed to be silent, like soften. They're S-O-F-T-E-N. They should sound the same. But people are changing the pronunciation to conform to the spelling. And I think we're going to see that more and more. The more literacy levels increase worldwide, we are going to see people all over just conforming their language to the written word. Because, 400 years ago, when often was often, not a lot of people could read and write. Even 200 years ago, when it became often, not a lot of people could read and write. Now people can read and write, and they are conforming their pronunciation to the written word. In English, that's a dangerous mistake because our spelling does not match our pronunciation. My goodness, if you didn't start off learning to read and write in English, if you came from another culture, another language, this would be very hard for you to cope with. Enough, E-N-O-U-G-H, how do we get that? So that's something we are seeing. And we're also seeing changes in word meanings. This one bothers me, I have to admit. Decimate. I hear people say decimate all the time, and they mean complete devastation, ruin. By the way, I think that's how decimate came to mean complete and utter ruin. I think it got conflated with devastate. To the point where the meaning of the word has changed, and decimate now means to completely ruin or destroy. Decimate, and it's still in the root of the word. It's a Latin word, and you see the deci, the root for 10, right there. Decimate used to mean, in the old days of the Roman army, when they would screw up, the general would go down the line and kill every 10th man. So decimate means to reduce by a 10th. It's literally from the Latin. Reduce by a 10th is to decimate. I know, people think the Marines are tough. Imagine being a Roman legionnaire. Barracks sleeps late, every 10th man gets his head chopped off. Wow. But language change is normal. It's inevitable. I may not like decimate. Benjamin Franklin did not like balcony. He thought it should have been balcony because it was an Italian word. It's just, it's inevitable. That's what we have. So we have, our word for the day is decimate, because that's the one that irritates me, and I'll get over it. Of course, we also have balcony, coming from the Italian that Benjamin Franklin disliked. Let me give you another one that's my absolute favorite. We know silly means foolish, right? Well, in Old English, silly came into us from German, because Old English is Proto-Germanic. English is what we call a Germanic language, came from an original language that was called Proto-Germanic, that gave birth to English, Dutch, Frisian, German, the Scandinavian languages, that family of languages. In German, the word silly is Selig, and it still has very much the same meaning. When we got it, it meant blessed. It meant holy. Okay? And after a while, just because words change and meanings expand, it eventually came to mean innocent. So Shakespeare was talking about, protection of silly women and children. He was not talking about foolish women and children. He was talking about innocent women and children. So even in Shakespeare's day, it wasn't that long ago, it still meant, well, not quite holy, but by then it had come to being innocent. And then, of course, it came to mean naive. And from naive, it's a tiny step to foolish. So that's how we got from blessed to foolish on silly. So silly can be another word of the day. These things, I don't know about you, I love the history of words. This is the language we speak. This is the language in which we think, we process the world around us. And my goodness, it is so fascinating. All right, so this is what we are dealing with, how to clean very small items, also why you should clean very small items. Other people may not know how to. and they may need to be cleaned. Third of our giveaways. All right, now today is Monday the 3rd, so this giveaway is open until following Monday the 10th, at which point it closes off. The photobomb kitty crawls up on the computer, picks a winner who will be announced the following Wednesday, which will be the 17th. Since the last 2 giveaways were Asian pieces, I decided to go with something very different this time. This is a little European candy dish. It's just a nice little piece, it's simple, it's gilded, and it's pretty. And with that comes, better open it, show you, because it's pretty, some beautiful little citrus soaps. So, very different citrus soaps and the candy dish, which is going to become the soap dish, mostly because I don't want to keep doing Asian over and over again. So, here we go. Soaps and soap dish. Not everybody loves the Japanese and Chinese stuff the way I do. So, this is my concession. We're going over to something relatively Western as opposed to Eastern. I should tell you, the soap smells beautiful. Even just in the package, you can just, fantastic. So that is our giveaway for today. If you are interested in the dish and the soaps, all you have to do is just let me know in the comments. Give me that soap, give me that dish, yo photobomb kitty, come and pick me out of the pile. And where is he? He's right here somewhere. I can hear his bells. He's been dancing around my feet the whole time. I'm sure he will be very, very happy to have more names to go through. He seems to like sitting on the desk and playing on the computer, so this should be good for him. By the way, I am going to see if I can get a picture of him playing on the computer. It's scary, but it's cute. All right. Have a terrific week, everybody. I will see you all next Saturday. Notice I didn't say next Friday. See, I always make that mistake. I did not make it. I'm working on it. My goodness, you can teach an old dog new tricks, huh? All right. See you next week.